Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
So, we were
Good
already
afternoon, ma'am.
discussing the promotion part of marketing, the fourth P. And this is the last unit that we are dealing with, the fifth one. So, we'll carry forward our presentation and our discussion of promotion. So basically, the main objectives of promotion are to develop and manage an effective advertising program, decide on the media that you're going to use for promoting, and of course, then measuring the effectiveness of your media and along with the campaign or the promotional stunt that you had run. Then, of course, sales promotions, maintaining any kind of public relations, and of course, any type of personal selling that you are doing are all a part of this promotion as the P. I had initially also discussed a bit of the advertising part of promotion, so as to introduce you to what you know advertising is. I had also told you the difference between advertising and the rest of the other promotional tools that are used. So let's just discuss it in brief as to what I actually mean by promotion mix. When I refer to a promotion mix, what exactly do I mean? So basically, promotion mix is a specific combination of different types of promotional methods like print, broadcasting your advertisement, any kind of direct marketing that you're doing, if you're doing any kind of personal selling, if you are displaying your products at a point of sale, any kind of merchandising, anything like these, which are a means of promotion, would be then combined to form a promotional mix, right? So mainly there are four considered elements. There are some extended six elements. The main ingredients of promotion mix form the advertising, public relations, personal selling, and sales promotion. And then, of course, the main promotional tactics which are used by different organizations for promoting their brands or different ad agencies for promoting any particular brand are advertising, sales promotion, public relations, personal selling, publicity, and direct marketing, of course. So, if we talk about all these different tools that I just mentioned separately, let's start discussing them one by one. So, the first one, let's take the first one, it is the personal selling, right? So, what do we mean by personal selling actually? Personal selling is basically a technique of trying to promote a product between two people or from one person to the other one, or maybe between the prospective buyer and the seller of the product. So that is basically what is meant by personal selling. So, why is it called personal? Because it is involving more of a personalized means, or it is using the personalized means of promoting the product, and it is moreover, including, uh, you know, human contact and human to human interaction for the purpose of promoting a brand or a product, right? So personal selling basically, as I just said, that it consists of human contact, and because there is human contact, there is going to be a direct communication between the seller and the buyer in case of personal selling. Whereas you can understand that when we talk about advertising, say if an advertising is published in a magazine or it is published in a newspaper, it is more of a monologue. It's not a dialogue. Two people are not communicating in it. Only you are getting the message which is diverted or directed towards you by the promoter of the brand. It can be the directly the producer also, and sometimes it can be directly the advertising agency also. So in this case, when you are talking about say advertising, the methods that are used, the methodology that is used is more of a indirect means of communication, and a person is not directly speaking to you. Rather, the message is conveyed in the form of an advertisement, which could be in print form, which could be in the form of any TV commercial, which could be in the form of any radio jingle, or anything like that. Is that well understood to all of you? What is the difference between personal selling and advertising? So basically, personal selling would involve developing the customer relationships, because obviously, a person to person contact is occurring. Now, when a person to person contact occurs, you are more likely to know about your customer's needs and wants in details, and you are more likely, uh, you become very close to your customer. The customer starts recognizing you, and you start recognizing your customer very well. So what happens in this case is that you can develop an idea of the customer's exact needs, wants, likings, dislikes, and you can actually match the appropriate product according to the requirement of the customer when you are doing personal selling. Is that understood to everybody what is personal selling?
Yes, ma'am.
So, uh, our after the personal selling part, let's move on to the next tool of promotion mix, or the next element out of the promotion mix, which is none other than the public relations. So, there are multiple examples that I have just presented in front of you on the screen, which talk about the, methods of, keeping good public relations, or the methods through which the organizations actually create good public relations. So these methods are nothing but the press releases that are released by the organizations, and the different events that are carried out by the organizations. Sometimes some kinds of partnerships are done by the organizations, that okay, why fine, we are partnering, that we are going to donate some amount of the earnings, or donate some amount of the profits of the organizations with the NGO. So, or some other kind of strategic partnerships are also there. Some kind of strategic partnerships are done in case of promoting some events and all. So all these are also tactics of having good public relations. And of course, sometimes when letters are written to the editors, and you ask them to promote your product, and sometimes the editors actually promote your product in their columns. Sometimes pop-up shops are there on various street sites also, and actually pop-ups are there on this social media also. So that is also a methodology of maintaining good public relations. Then of course there are some multiple organizations which keep sending their brochures via mails to different customers and some regular customers of the organization. So that is also a method of public relations. I hope you all are with me and understanding. And you must have seen a lot of good brands holding press conferences at the time of their annual report. Sometimes they hold press conferences to, curb down any kind of controversy. If they've fallen into any kind of controversy, they hold some press conferences in which they give their, presentation or message to the media. and media promotes their message as to, whether the, what is the message of the organization. So those press conferences are very important tactic of maintaining good public relations, right? And then of course any kind of original research that is done, that research is actually done through coming in touch with the customers. And when you're coming in touch with the customers and taking their direct feedbacks, you are creating good public relations. So there are multiple types of other examples also of having good public relations, but I hope you have at least understood that what are public relations. Is that clear to all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
So the way I told you the difference between advertising and personal selling, of course, there is a huge difference between advertising and public relations also. Before I speak about it, is there anybody who would like to, uh, enlighten us as to what they understand about the difference between personal selling and advertising? How is it different? Sorry, not personal selling, the public relations. Is there anybody who would like to speak on this, or shall I move ahead?
Ma'am, public relations are held by holding a seminar. Sorry, ma'am. Hello.
मैम का फिर से कनेक्टिविटी इशू हो गया था। क्लास ओवर हो गया क्या?
नहीं भाई, अभी क्लास कैसे ओवर हो जाए?
नहीं, मैम डिस्कनेक्ट हो गई ना, तो इसलिए
अभी
कुछ
आ जाएगी मैम 2 मिनट में।
नेटवर्क।
I'm so sorry, I'm just back. I had some network issue. I was thrown out of the meeting. So, yes, Nandini was saying something. Nandini, you were explaining the difference. Can we get back?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, please,
Ma'am,
Nandini.
ma'am, public relation is the thing like we hold seminars or an event we are promoting our product or something like that. And personal selling is selling a product to a customer personally, like many salesmen do.
I'm Right. I'm like, okay. Anyways, I'll take your answer, but we will. It's not correct. So I will discuss it with you. I was actually asking you the difference between public relations and advertising. I think you got a bit confused. You want to reframe your answer, or shall I do it for you? So basically, when we talk about the difference between advertising and public relations, you know, advertising is any. I've already explained to you what is advertising. Advertising is any paid form of promotion, whereas public relations is more or less a free promotional tool. And advertisement buys time and slots in the any kind of media in which the advertisement is getting promoted. I hope that all of you know about this. Buying time is like, say if I'm trying to promote a product on radio, when is the prime time of radio? Can anybody tell me? See,
Yes, ma'am.
basically the prime time of radio is when maximum people listen to radio. Now maximum people listen to radio when they are traveling in their cars, right? So the prime time is mostly between 8 to 9, 8 a.m. to 9, or maybe let's say 7:30 a.m. to 9 a.m., right? Why? Because that is these are the peak office hours when office goers are traveling in their cars, and whenever they are traveling in their cars, they turn on their radio and listen to them. Now, when they listen to the radio, what happens is that that is the time when maximum of the advertisers would want their advertisement to be broadcasted on the radio that time, right? So because that time is peak time when maximum listeners are there, those are the most expensive hours of a radio. Similarly, when the office goers are going back, or when the college students are going back, somewhere between 4:30 p.m. till 6:30 p.m. or 7 p.m. in the evening, that is again the prime time of radio. So buying that media, radio channels time at that time for promoting your advertisement is the most expensive. Now you have to understand, when you are promoting your product, that when is the correct time to promote your product. Similarly, in case of newspaper magazines, also it happens. On which page you are publishing the advertisement plays a very important role. Similarly, when you are promoting your product on the television, whether people watch that show or not, during which show your ad is going to be broadcasted, whether people actually watch that show or not is very important. That is why the shows which have highest TRPs, to promote your advertisement during those shows is very expensive. So advertisement buys these kinds of time slots on electronic media and space in the print media to carry those messages across your customers. On the other hand, there is no such buying in case of public relations. You don't have to buy it, right? In maintaining your public relations. Similarly, a company has control over the content that you are going to advertise. You obviously know very well that, okay, this is the message that is going to be broadcasted. But in case of, whereas of course, you only hope for a totally positive point of view from the media and from the listeners also. Whereas, in case of PR, that is not like that, right? And advertisements can be more creative than PR, but public relations cannot be that creative, because that is more of a generalized form of communicating. So there is a difference in the public perception, as public relations is not seen as a deliberate effort of the company. The company is holding some kind of press conference, but people do not understand that they are in disguise actually trying to promote their brand. Similarly, while advertisements can be repeated many times for as long as the company wants or desires or is ready to spend, public relations, they whatever they are releasing, you know, that is a one-time affair. You've had a press conference, you can't hold press conference every day because the media people are not going to come to you. The news reporters are not going to come to you every day. You can't generate a new press conference every day. You're done with it, it's gone. So that is a one-time affair. Advertisements can be repeated. And similarly, there are differences in writing styles of advertisements and the public relations. Advertisements are there for shorter duration of time. They have very limited time span. Whereas, PRs are huge in the statement form if we talk about them. So this is the major difference between, the advertising and the public relations. So let's move ahead. We are already done with the introduction part of advertising. What are the major decisions of advertising? We had also done the objectives behind advertising. Then we had discussed what are the 5 M's of advertising. Then the advertising budget factors I had discussed with you, which means that the budget, it depends upon various major aspects, like what is the stage of the product life cycle through which your product or your brand is moving. That will play a major role on deciding as to how much of budget is going to be allocated to a particular product. Similarly, market share and consumer base, that plays a very important role. If you have a huge market share and you have a huge customer base, it's easier for a company to allocate the budget for your advertising. And sometimes it happens in the reverse way also, that you are already so well recognized in the market that a company does not need to spend too much on your advertising. So it can be both the ways. Then of course, how much of competition is there, what your competitors are doing, what are their strategies of promoting their product, that will also play a very important role in this case. Then of course, what is the advertising frequency, with what frequency the advertisements are broadcasted, that will also be a major part of the budget factors while deciding the budget for advertising. And then of course, the product substitutability, which means whether your product has substitutes or not, that will also play a very major role in deciding the budgets of your advertising. Is that clear to all of you? Then if we talk about the profiles of some major types of media that are used, as I told you earlier also, that the major types of media that are used are none other than the traditional media and the contemporary media. The traditional media are, of course, the newspaper, the televisions, any kind of direct mail messages, the banners, the hoardings that are placed on roadside, the billboards, and distribution of banners and pamphlets. Then, of course, radio is another traditional media. And then I also told you about the contemporary type of media, which is the latest form of media, like the social media, Instagram, Facebook, all these things. And they are separate. There are other, social media vehicles also, like Big and all. So, of course, and then emails, viral marketing, email marketing, content development, influencers, marketing based on social media influencers. All these are also the contemporary form of advertising. So let us first talk about the traditional type of media vehicles. The first one is the newspapers. Of course, the major advantage of newspapers is, first of all, the flexibility, timeliness, good local market coverage, because there are a lot of local market, local newspapers So if you are promoting your product in those local newspapers, there is a massive crowd which is reading those newspapers. When there is a major crowd which is reading your newspapers, obviously your advertisement will not go unnoticed. So it is quite likely that if a newspaper which is having a circulation of somewhere around 3 lakh copies per day, it is quite likely that at least 2 lakh people must have seen your advertisement, even if it is published on any middle pages of the newspaper. And if you spent good enough and got it published on the front page or the last page or the masthead, then it is obvious that almost all the 3 lakh people must have seen your advertisement. So of course there is a limitation behind these. The newspapers have a very short life, first of all, because once it is read, the next day it is useless. Secondly, there is poor reproduction quality. You cannot reproduce it very easily. And then of course, uh, you know, passing that advertisement from one person to the another person, that audience is very small. Okay, very small. That if I expect that one newspaper is read by more than one people, so that is a very small number. I don't know exactly how many people are going to pass it on. Similarly, when I talk about the next media vehicle, which is the television, television is something very effective because it combines sight, sound, motion, everything, right? And of course, a lot of high attention is there, because when you see anything which is seen in action has more effect on you as compared to anything that you read. So obviously, television advertisement has more effect. That is known and that is true. That is been researched and proven. And then, of course, television has a very high reach because in today's scenario, almost every household has a television. No matter whether they have anything else or not, but they do have a TV. So that is why it has a huge reach amongst the people, and it of course appeals to the senses of the people because you can touch it. Yeah, I mean, you can see it, you can see the action happening in the television. So that is why the television ads are very, very effective, has huge reach and has a good appeal to the senses. But of course, it has also a very big major drawback, and that drawback is nothing but the high cost of advertising. Because whenever you are trying to advertise anything on television, the costs that are incurred for buying that media and buying that time on media is extremely high. And there is high clutter, fleeting exposure, and less audience selectivity. Because there are so many people, जैसे ही ad आता है हम लोग क्या करते हैं, हम channel change कर देते हैं, right? So this power of rejection that a customer has is actually very scary for the people who are creating advertisements, especially for television, because they're very expensive. उनको प्रोड्यूस करना बहुत महंगा होता है, उनकी जो क्रिएटिव टीम होती है जो उस पर काम करती है वो बहुत महंगी होती है. आप एक ब्रांड एंडोर्सर भी उसके लिए हायर करते हो, कोई एक्टर एक्ट्रेस या कोई और बहुत फेमस पर्सनालिटी को आप लेते हो, आप उसको भी पे करते हो. इतना एक्सपेंडिचर बेयर करने के बाद आप मीडिया भी खरीदते हो, और फिर अगर आपका कस्टमर चैनल चेंज कर देता है तो इससे बड़ा डराने वाला इशू कुछ हो ही नहीं सकता. इट इज सो स्कैरी for the advertiser that the customer has the power of rejection in his hand. He's sitting with that remote control to change the channel as soon as your advertisement comes on the TV. And then of course that is why the audience are very less selective in this case, because you cannot select your audience. Audience selectivity is not there. It's mass advertising is happening. So maybe even if you are promoting Revital, which is for people of age above 40 or 45 years, those energy capsules, multivitamin capsules, and you never know that it is actually gone unseen by the family because a kid was watching a TV that time. You have to be very selective on where and what you're promoting. That is why you must have noticed that products like these, Revital and all, they are promoted on news channels more than any other channel. or else sometimes they are promoting it on some kind of family TV soaps which are telecasted every day and they are watched or seen by a lot of house wives and female homemaker females. I'm using the wrong word. I apologize for it. Not the housewife, but the homemakers. They are watching. The females of the family are watching, and then they see an ad in which Salman Khan is saying that I take the vital every day, and they feel that at least, even if not me, at least my husband should eat it. I mean, consume it. So that is what I mean to explain, that the timing and the media buying is very expensive in this case, and high absolute costs and less audience selectivity is something that makes this very difficult to actually encash. It's not as easy as we think. Now that you are studying advertising and you might become advertisers in future, you have to understand it very thoroughly. And of course, there is a direct correlation between
मैम फिर से लेफ्ट हो गई क्या?
all right. So I was just saying that you know we have recently discussed that what is the difference between PR and advertising, and then I also discussed the different types of medias that are used in advertising, and initially we were discussing about the traditional media, television. We have discussed the print also. So we are actually falling short of time today. So what we will do is that we will continue with this lecture in tomorrow's class, wherein we will cover both traditional and contemporary media vehicles. So that is all from my side for today's session. If you have any query, please ask now.